If you are a neurodivergent entrepreneur or professional, whether that's ADHD, ASD, OCD, or you don't resonate with any of these labels, but you know that your brain works differently than most people. And whenever you're trying to learn something new, you start with one thing, but before you finish it, you find yourself jumping to something else that catches your attention. So you never really feel like you're making real progress. Then you're going to want to stay until the end of this video because I'm going to break down the very first and most important step you are going to need to take in order to resolve this. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Superbrain series, brought to you by the 25-Hour Day. My name is Colin Spont. I am an entrepreneur, internationally award-winning performing artist, global ambassador for one of the largest luxury brands in the world, and I did all of this with what most people call ADHD, an obsessive compulsive disorder. I disagreed. And so I built a business that's helped now over 150 neurodiverse entrepreneurs and professionals rewire their brains for efficiency so that they can become masters at executing their ideas profitably and efficiently, so that they could cut their working hours in half, so that they could add $10,000 to $20,000 a month or more to their income, but most importantly, so that they could have the freedom to enjoy living their everyday life in the process. And today I am so blessed to have our lovely guest, Victoria, who's joining us. Victoria is a neurodivergent professional. She is a love strategist who helps older, successful women find love. Today, I'm going to show her why she is stuck so that she can be empowered to decide whether she wants to permanently remove these barriers from her life. And of course, I'm going to do it while walking backwards. So let's bring on our lovely guest, Victoria. How are you doing?
Hi, Colin. How are you?
There's a trend happening now where people ask me how I'm doing, and I'm loving it. All right, I have your submission. We're going to pull it up and we'll just get started by having you read it aloud, okay?
Okay. I've been having challenges being more efficient with my time lately. It often feels like the day flies by and I look back wondering where all the hours went. One of the biggest issues I've noticed is that I tend to get scatterbrained, especially when I'm working through training materials or trying to learn something new. I'll start one module or task, and before I finished it, I find myself jumping to something else that catches my attention. Whether it's another lesson, a message, or even a to-do item, I suddenly remember. So as a result, I end up with multiple things halfway done and very little actually completed. So this scattered focus makes it harder for me to retain information, and I feel like I'm not making real progress. I want to get better at staying present and finishing one thing at a time so I can make more meaningful use of my work hours.
Thank you for the honesty, because there's so many people watching this who think I'm the only one this is happening to. It's so important that they see other successful people who have these challenges, because that's a huge reason as to why these challenges persist for neurodiverse folks. But today, Victoria, buckle up. First thing you want to address: I've been having challenges being more efficient with my time. What do you want to experience as it pertains to your efficiency with your time?
Okay, so I want to experience having more time in the day. So I want to be very efficient with my time.
Now, often
Mhm,
feels like the day flies by. So when it comes to the day flying by, is this a
mhm.
situation where you're feeling like you're not getting to enjoy it or be present? Like, what does it mean for your day to fly by?
Yeah, I just when I'm done with my working day, which is typically around 6 o'clock, I feel like it's make dinner for my husband, then clean the house or whatever I need to get done, and then like the day is over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that just flew, that literally flew by.
So now, on the polarities of that, how do you want to feel
Mhm.
at the end of the day?
I want to feel like I've completed everything on my to-do list, and I want to feel like the day is slow and I'm feeling very present in the day, and instead of it feeling like a whirlwind, I want it to feel like a very peaceful, slow day.
Like, having everything completed, being more present in this peaceful, slow day
Mhm.
of yours. Okay. Wondering where all of the hours went. How do you want to look back?
I want to look back and be like, wow, today was a great day. I feel accomplished and I feel good about where I'm at.
Scatterbrained. What is
Hmm.
what is the opposite of that for you?
What would be the opposite of scatterbrained? Mm, in control? I don't know, scatterbrained, focused.
I love the question marks around it. In control? You're like, oh, that doesn't seem. You're like, maybe. You're like, that might be a
It's
problem.
the opposite. It's so foreign to me.
We're starting to enter into some of those areas that I often talk about in other episodes where it's so interesting. Here I am thinking about being scatterbrained and don't want to be scatterbrained, but what even is it to not be that?
Exactly.
Okay.
Literally, the law of inversion. It like took me a second because I'm like, what would that be?
Yes. Yes. And I'm sure you can imagine that it would be no coincidence that if your brain takes even that amount of time to pull that up, it's not defaulting to that. Like,
Absolutely. 100%. That's a safe assumption.
so this is great. So focused, especially when working through training materials or trying to learn something new. Now, when we look at starting one module or before you finished it, you find yourself jumping into something else that catches your attention. What is the opposite of that?
Finishing one task at a time to completion
Okay.
and staying focused on the task at hand.
What would be the opposite of ending with multiple things half done and having actually very little completed?
I end the day with multiple things completed, period.
I want to ask, when it comes to having anything actually completed, what is the intention or the
Mm.
purpose of having said things completed?
Mm. Well, in my mind, I feel like if I complete these things, then they're not piling up and overwhelming me. So it's important for me to get action items completed, or else, because incomplete action items cause me anxiety and overwhelm.
Then a little bit deeper into this one right here. Perfect. Okay. So, of course, things being completed would be the opposite of those things not piling up. So that makes sense. Now, let's look at the incomplete action items causing you anxiety or overwhelm and ask the question, what would the experience be if incomplete action items didn't cause you anxiety? They didn't overwhelm you? What is your experience?
Yeah, so incomplete action items don't bother me. They don't overwhelm me. They don't consume me.
Perfect. This is exactly why we're right here. This is why this is always a fascinating thing to me. I could do this a million times and I would continue to be fascinated because the brain is such a sophisticated organism and it is sneaky as fuck. As shit. We're looking at what would the polarity of this be, and immediately your brain's like, okay, the incomplete actions items don't bother me. We're still in the negative. They don't overwhelm me. Still in the negative. They don't consume me. We're still in the negative. Each one of these
Mhm.
words is still underneath this umbrella, whereas our brain is thinking at that moment, oh, that's a destination. That's still the focus on what we are looking to avoid, which means our brain is still wired to the things that are consuming, overwhelming, bothering to that experience. Even if we try to avoid that experience, your brain is being told what information it is going to let pass through your senses to process for you to be able to perceive, which is why we're seeing walls and chairs and things instead of a bunch of wavelengths of infiniteness. Like the reason why we're seeing the things we're seeing is because what's being chosen. So what ends up happening is, even if the solution to all these things are actually in front of you, your brain is literally going to delete it from your eyes, from your ears, because your brain thinks that what you give emotion and attention to is important. And so it's going to say, okay, bothering, blame, overwhelm, these are important pieces of information. And that's all it will see, and it will delete everything else.
Interesting.
So that's why we're here. So we can find those things, discover their polarity, so we can start to train our brain and slowly but surely overwrite its understanding of what important information is, so that when these things are coming up, these things don't even register. And instead, the only things that register by default are the solution. that are actually there,
Okay.
but you can't actually experience them until we do this. So this is beautiful because we've gotten to a place where we're seeing the deeper levels are reinforced around the same thing. So if you weren't bothered, what would be the opposite of being bothered?
Unbothered?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Or is that still negative?
Yeah, because
Is
bothered
that
is
still okay? What would be the opposite? Okay.
If you want, you can also pull up dictionary.com or thesaurus.com
Okay.
or
Yeah, let me just pull up what.
pull it up. For the folks watching this, I want you to know it's not as important that you have this crazy revelatory experience of discovering what that word is because your brain already has associations to that word. What actually happens is when you realize what the word is, then the emotions tied with that word can then be associated to different experiences. So if you look through a thesaurus or you look through a dictionary and you find the word, you're going to probably discover, whoa, I never even fucking thought that that experience could exist in this place. Okay, what do we got?
Okay. So the opposite of don't bother is at peace.
Okay, at peace. And for the folks watching this, just think if you were Victoria, what would the polarity of this be for you? And you can type that in the comments. To me, when I think of the opposite of being bothered, I feel excitement. This is like exciting to me. Is there any other words that come up when you look at the antonyms of bother or synonyms of peace that resonate with you?
Satisfied, at ease, emotionally steady.
Mhm. Okay.
And then the other one, it did say undisturbed and unbothered, so that's not really going to work.
Yeah, not in this context at all. So do all these resonate with you? Or are there any particular ones that stand out to you?
Yeah, these resonate with me.
Awesome. Now let's look at the same thing with being overwhelmed.
Composed and calm. Grounded.
Consume.
So this one, so they don't consume me. Detached.
This is a funny one because we often hear this word detached. Detachment or non-judgment. All you're doing is reinforcing attachment and reinforcing judgment. Unconsciously, most people are saying that are not aware, but glad that you're now starting to see that these pretenses to words like I am unbothered, your brain doesn't care about your brain hears bothered. That's the word that's associated with all the experiences and emotions. So when you think about words like non-judgment, your brain's still focused on judgment. The polarity of non-judgment would be understanding. It could be acceptance, depending on the context as well. But you see how different the attention towards looking for understanding would be the frame of energy in which you would approach something rather than, okay, I'm going to not judge the person.
100%. The frame. Yep.
So it's the same thing with certain words like this. So go ahead, share the words that you had just shared before, and we're going to take a look at these.
Consumed or?
Yeah, consumed.
This one's just hard because it's like detach, ignore, release. So maybe letting go, not letting, when I'm thinking of like consuming, it's consuming me. It's like, I'm not letting go of it. It's just like over rumination to the point where I can't focus on something else. So I think letting go would be like the opposite of consumed. And rumination, like presence.
So you're doing exactly what we want to do in this space. Like when you're like consumed, you're like, I don't know about these words. So what you can do is you further describe what you mean by consumed, and you're going to notice that the words that come out are going to be words that you will be able to find more easily a polarity to, because consumed is kind of your catch-all for that description. So we'll go deeper into that. Like you said, rumination is one of them. What was something else that described being consumed?
Almost like a sense of control. In my mind, like when I'm ruminating over something, I feel like I have control over it because I'm grappling with it. Whether, so it's a false sense of control for me.
Wanting control.
Yeah.
Is that accurate still?
Yeah, I just don't really know
No, it's okay. We want to just first to get clarity on what those problem areas are, even in the negative, because that will be our clearest gateway to the affirmative.
Okay. Worrying, anxiety.
So when you're feeling consumed, you're ruminating over this thing. You feel like you're kind of fighting with, you're grappling with it to get this sense of control.
Right. Yeah.
And worrying and then anxious about it. So that makes a lot of sense. Now we're starting to see what is that consumption
Mm-hmm.
So letting go, we're moving in the right direction. We're going to get back to this one. This is great. Opposite of rumination is presence here in the now. Now, grappling for a sense of control. What would it feel like if you're looking at the polarity of needing to try to get control? There's so many ways this could go. So I'm really interested to hear what comes up. And
Yeah,
I'll,
I don't really know.
I'll
Um, hmm. Not needing, okay, not needing control. I just feel like just being at peace, feeling calm, secure.
these are all great ones. For those folks watching this, the reason why I want you to type in the comments what grappling with sense of control means for you, because it can mean something completely different. Completely different. When I see this, the things that come to my mind as examples, not to say that they're Victoria's examples, it would be I feel an acceptance and belief that things are transpiring for me. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel the need for the control because I feel like things are actually working in service of me. So I don't need to control them at all, which is a different perspective. You could say I feel like I have control, which somebody could perceive it instead of grappling for control. I feel steady in the control that I have. Or like you said, the perspective you took is also, again, polarity. Demonstrates the same thing. It's like, well, I don't need for control because presently
Mm-hmm.
I'm at peace. Like I'm calm. I'm secure. Things could be wildly out of control, but I'm calm and I'm at peace. I'm steadfast. I am grounded. I am the locus of control. Everything else is in reaction to my experience. So I think these are all very, very good ones. Now, when we get to worrying, what comes up for you?
The opposite of worrying is calm. Uh, a silent mind.
Calm, silent mind.
Tranquility.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful word. Wow.
That's a good one. Whoa.
As we continue to go through this, Victoria, I want you to notice how it's not like it's vocabulary you don't have. As your brain starts to open up to this umbrella, your vocabulary in this context is expanding. Whereas, like, if I asked you this before you did this, you would not have said tranquility. Like, tranquility is
Mm-hmm.
not the word that would have came out up here. You know, I've been trying. I want to be more efficient with
Yeah.
my time. I want tranquility. No, your brain is over here. Like, it's not happening. But as you start
Yeah.
to open up things and say, oh, I want peace and I want ease. Under that umbrella comes things like tranquility, comes things like acceptance, like gracefulness. These words are associative to this area that starts to realize, like, oh, what could that look like here? So I want you to start to notice that as you're going through that there is an evolution happening in real time in a very, very, very short feedback loop that you're going to start to see and feel. Let's go down here because the answers will start to come even more easily. So this scattered focus makes it harder for me to retain information. So we'll break it up. We got scattered focus.
Um, this scattered focus. Mm, this focus, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the opposite of scattered.
Perfect.
Let me see. This focus makes it easier for me to retain information. Collected focus.
Oh, collected. Oh, okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
collected. This collected focus makes it easier for me to retain information.
Amazing. Define to me what collected means for you.
Like all in one place, cohesive, centralized focus.
Yes. There we go. These are the pieces right here. Collected, cohesive, centralized focus makes it easier for me to retain information. Incredible. The thing you just did, Victoria, there that I have to point it out for those folks. Victoria almost did this, but then she's like, I'm gonna check myself before I wreck myself. And when we looked at this scattered focus, it is a logical thing to think, well, I don't want it to be scattered. So it's like, well, why not this focus? Right? That it seems logical, like it makes sense. You'll often hear me say this statement time and time again. Do not erase, replace. Because the word scattered, as much as it is not productive for what we're looking to achieve, it's important that we realize this word didn't come from nowhere. It is the best word we have found so far to describe this emotional circumstance. And so it's come up and it's arisen. Now, we may, in this controlled environment, say, well, actually, that's not very productive. So let me remove scattered. And it's like, okay, I have this focus. And that may seem good in theory, but the truth is, because we haven't actually improved the language, the next time a circumstance arises where there's anything that would have Victoria feeling any sort of the feelings that associate with scattered focus, what's going to come up is scattered because there's nothing else to take its place. You can't actually just remove it because it's not there for no reason. This is your brain doing its best with what it knows to navigate the circumstance. Unless you take scattered and say, it's not that I'm looking to not be scattered, because if I try to not be scattered, you're still thinking scattered. She needs to be able to be in that circumstance where that same thing arises. And instead, she's able to say to herself, what would I need to do to remain collected? What would I need to do to centralize my focus right now? What would I need to do to make this information cohesive to me so that it can become easier for me? If she doesn't do that here in this controlled environment, when she gets into the field and is in a context where she could feel scattered, guess what? That's not coming out. What's coming out is scattered. How do I not be scattered? My brain's tuned to scattered. And now my brain sees scattered, she's overwhelmed, she's anxious, and your brain starts to activate this state of emotional stimulation that it is way too familiar with already. And it's going to further imprint that experience into your neurology. And that is the reason why, if you're watching this and you've experienced this, why you've experienced this most of your entire life. And it seems like it has either remained the same or gotten worse the more you try to learn, or the more intense the things or the more important the things are, because you are more emotionally invested and those things are emotionally connected. So I love that Victoria had that brief moment. She's like, oh, it could just be focused. And then she said, collected focus, which is the gateway to unlock cohesive, centralized, which is what is actually going to be the gateway to her moving to the actual true result that her brain's slowly but surely going to learn the default. So let's keep going. We feel like we're not making real progress.
The polarity is I can see real progress happening now.
Now, I love that. Like the presence of that as well, happening in the now is awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
That one's a good one. And then this one we could do, I make meaningful use of my work hours by staying present and finishing one thing at a time. Staying present, one thing at a time.
Amazing.
Juicy.
A few moments later.
I have more time in the day because I am very efficient with my time. I complete everything I need to accomplish with ease and peace of mind. I experience a present, peaceful, and slow day. I look back at my day thinking, today was a great day. I feel accomplished. I feel good about where I'm at. I am focused, especially when I'm working through training materials or trying to learn something new. I finish one task at a time, following it through to completion. And I easily focus on the task at hand, whether it's another lesson, a message, or even if I suddenly remember a to-do item. I end the day with tranquility, presence, and I'm at peace. I am at ease, emotionally steady, calm, and secure, with a calm, silent mind. My collected, cohesive, and centralized focus makes it easier for me to retain information. I make meaningful use of my work hours by staying present and finishing one thing at a time. I can see real progress happening now. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would never make real progress with the old lens of how my brain was viewing these tasks. Compared to this, it's like, I actually feel like I can make real progress this way. The other one was like energetically, like was very constrictive. It was very negative. And as we know, if we just continue to reinforce the negatives, then we are creating a reality of the same stuff. So this is massive in how to actually change your reality, through which the lens we need to speak to ourselves.
Bingo. I feel like a broken record as I say this. The purpose of this series is not to wave a magic wand and say, and now everything is resolved. The purpose is to expand the perspective so that people actually realize, oh shit, I've been trying to solve the wrong problem. That's the reason why it has persisted. What ends up happening with most neurodiverse professionals is when they want to become more efficient, cut their working hours in half, spend more time with their family or the things that they're passionate about, what they end up doing is trying these strategies that are responsible for the feeling of being overwhelmed, for the procrastination, for the perfectionism, for the analysis paralysis. That's actually preventing them from being more efficient or preventing them from taking the action they want to take or having them feel pulled in so many different directions. So it just makes it worse. They have more things to do. They're more overwhelmed with even less time. And they wonder, like, why is this so hard for me still? The problem is not you. If you are watching this, then I strongly encourage you to look at the link that is underneath this video. If you click on it, you will see what is possible for you when you permanently remove these barriers from your life, because it is possible. Or you can continue and watch everybody around you do it with half the time, half the energy, half the money you're putting in, when you know it's possible for you too. In the meantime, I want to say thank you to our lovely guest, Victoria. It's been such a pleasure.
Wow. That would have been good to know years ago.